Welcome back to my channel. Today we are mirroring into the complex issues of long-serving leaders and why they stay longer than anticipated. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe, share and like my channel. Across the globe, a few leaders have managed to defy the odds, remaining at the helm of power for decades. Some rule through force, others with a vision of stability. But behind the long tenures lies a complex narrative of governance, change, and legacy. How have these leaders shaped their countries, and what does it mean to hold on to power for such an extended period? This is the story of the longest-serving presidents and leaders of the modern world. Leaders who remain in power for decades often shape not only their own countries but also global political dynamics. Their influence can create periods of stability, economic growth, or at times deep unrest. However, the longer a leader stays in power, the greater the risk of entrenching corruption, suppressing democracy, and stifling social change. For citizens, living under long-term rule can mean limited political freedoms, lack of accountability, and rising frustrations. But some nations, particularly those with strong economic growth, may view their long-serving leaders as essential to national prosperity. Here are the list of leaders living and dead who have graced the helm of their country's polity. Fidel Castro, the revolutionary leader of Cuba, held power for almost 50 years. From 1959 to 2008, Castro's influence shaped the island nation. His tenure was marked by both significant achievements and controversies, leaving a lasting legacy on Cuba and the world. Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya for over 40 years, from 1969 until 2011. Known for his eccentric personality and authoritarian style, Gaddafi's reign was characterized by both domestic policies and international conflicts. His leadership left an indelible mark on Libya's history. Kim Il-sung, the founding leader of North Korea, held power from 1948 until his death in 1994. His reign was marked by the establishment of a strict centralized government and the creation of a personality cult. Kim Il-sung's influence continues to be felt in North Korea to this day, with his family still holding the reins of power. Robert Mugabe, the leader of Zimbabwe, served as Prime Minister from 1980 to 1987 and then as President from 1987 to 2017. His tenure began with promises of reconciliation and economic growth, but over time his rule became synonymous with economic decline, human rights abuses, and political repression. Mugabe's legacy remains a topic of intense debate in Zimbabwe and beyond. Since 1982, Paul Biya has been the president of Cameroon. With his cool demeanor and long tenure, he has become a symbol of stability in a region fraught with instability. However, his time in power has been far from without controversy. Under his leadership, Cameroon has struggled with economic inequality, political repression, and armed conflicts, especially in the Anglophone regions. Yet, Biya's hold on power has been maintained through a tight grip on the military, state-controlled media, and electoral systems criticized for lack of transparency. As of today, Biya remains a key figure in Central Africa's political landscape. Though not officially a president, Ali Khamenei has wielded supreme power in Iran since 1989. As Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei controls the military, judiciary, and most critical aspects of Iran's political and religious landscape. His rise to power followed the 1979 Iranian Revolution, and his leadership has been defined by navigating both internal challenges and external pressures. While Iran has transformed into a regional power, Khamenei's rule has been marked by tensions with the West, suppression of internal dissent, and a firm commitment to Islamic theocracy. His influence remains a cornerstone of Iran's identity on the world stage. Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo has ruled Equatorial Guinea since 1979, making him the longest-serving president in the world. Ascending to power through a military coup, Obiang's rule has been marked by a paradox. On one hand, the country is one of Africa's richest in oil, yet its citizens remain some of the poorest. Critics accuse Obiang of stifling political opposition, silencing dissent, and creating a system of patronage that benefits a small elite. Despite international pressure, Obiang's grip on power has never wavered, holding on to his position for nearly 5 decades. While most long-serving leaders are presidents, monarchs have also held the reins of power for extraordinary lengths of time. Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah of Brunei has ruled since 1967, overseeing a nation of great wealth derived from its oil reserves. His absolute power over the tiny Southeast Asian kingdom has allowed him to shape Brunei's society and economy with minimal interference. Similarly, Thailand's King Bhumibol Adulyadej, who reigned from 1946 to 2016, held unparalleled reverence among the Thai people. His 70-year reign brought stability but also entrenched a system where political power was concentrated in the monarchy. Paul Kagame has been Rwanda's president since 2000, though his influence dates back to 1994, when he led the Rwandan Patriotic Front that ended the horrific genocide. Kagame is credited with transforming Rwanda from a country ravaged by war and ethnic violence into one of Africa's most economically dynamic nations. Under his leadership, Rwanda has made significant strides in infrastructure, healthcare, and education. However, his presidency has also faced criticism, particularly over human rights and political freedoms. Kagame's leadership is a paradox. He is both lauded for Rwanda's recovery and criticized for the consolidation of power and suppression of opposition. The Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah has ruled Brunei since 1967, making him one of the longest reigning monarchs in the world. As both head of state and government, Bolkiah's reign has been characterized by absolute power, with the monarchy holding sway over all aspects of governance in this small but wealthy Southeast Asian nation. His leadership has been marked by Brunei's vast oil wealth, which has transformed the nation into one of the richest per capita countries globally. Under Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah's rule, Brunei has enjoyed prosperity and political stability, thanks to its vast oil reserves and prudent financial management. The country is known for its lavish royal family, the world's largest residential palace, and an exceptionally high standard of living. Despite his lavish rule, the Sultan has maintained an image of benevolence, and Brunei remains one of the few absolute monarchies in the world today. In 2014, Brunei made headlines for implementing stricter interpretations of Sharia law, adding further layers of control to the country's governance. Critics argue that while Brunei flourishes economically, its political system is tightly controlled and there are limited freedoms. Despite this, the Sultan remains immensely popular domestically, with many viewing him as a symbol of stability and continuity. Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah's diplomatic role is also notable. He is a prominent figure within the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and continues to maintain strong relations with major powers like the United States, China, and the United Kingdom. As one of the last remaining absolute monarchs in the world, his reign continues to represent a unique blend of traditional monarchy and modernity. King Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand holds the distinction of being one of the longest reigning monarchs in world history, ruling from 1946 until his death in 2016. Revered as a godlike figure, Bhumibol's reign lasted 7 decades, making him the heart and soul of Thailand's identity. Under his leadership, Thailand underwent enormous social and economic changes, transitioning from a predominantly agrarian society to a growing industrial economy. King Bhumibol was deeply involved in philanthropic efforts, launching numerous projects aimed at improving the lives of the Thai people. His reputation for dedication to the welfare of his people earned him immense respect. However, his reign was not without challenges. Political instability, including frequent military coups and a strong military presence in Thailand's politics, often overshadowed the monarchy's role. Yoweri Museveni has been the president of Uganda since 1986, following a protracted guerrilla war that brought him to power. Museveni's rise symbolized hope for many Ugandans, with his promise to end corruption and the political instability that plagued the nation in the years prior. His leadership saw Uganda shift from a period of dictatorship under Idi Amin to relative stability, and Museveni became a prominent figure in African politics. Under Museveni's leadership, Uganda's economy has made significant strides with improvements in healthcare, education, and infrastructure, yet his long tenure has sparked controversy. Critics argue that his government has increasingly cracked down on political opposition, limited freedoms, and amended the constitution to allow for indefinite presidential terms. Despite these concerns, Museveni remains a key player in the African political landscape. José Eduardo dos Santos ruled Angola for nearly 4 decades, serving as president from 1979 until 2017. His long reign began in the aftermath of Angola's independence from Portugal, during which the country was embroiled in a brutal civil war. Dos Santos' tenure saw the end of the war and significant economic recovery, largely due to Angola's oil reserves, which turned the country into one of Africa's most economically powerful nations. Under Dos Santos' leadership, Angola saw a massive transformation from a war-torn nation to one that attracted significant foreign investment, particularly in the oil sector. However, his long rule was also marred by accusations of corruption, mismanagement, and a concentration of power in the hands of his allies and family. The political opposition faced significant repression and civil society was limited. Although Dos Santos stepped down in 2017, his legacy continues to influence Angola's political environment. His departure was viewed by some as the end of an era of political stagnation, while others feared the potential for continued authoritarianism under his successors. While long-serving leaders have made their mark, the question remains, what happens when they leave office? As new generations demand political change, these entrenched leaders face increasing pressure to relinquish control. In some cases, a peaceful transition has taken place, while in others, revolutions have erupted. The legacies of these long-term rulers will ultimately be shaped by history, but the future is far from clear. Will these leaders be remembered as heroes or autocrats, and how will their countries evolve once they are gone? Power is fleeting, time changes even the longest reigns, and new forces rise to challenge those who have ruled for decades. In the end, history is shaped by both the leaders who dominate the stage and the people who demand their place in the narrative. For those who have ruled for a lifetime, the question remains, will they be remembered as giants of history, or will they fade into the shadows of time? Throughout history, leaders like Kim Il-sung and Robert Mugabe have left indelible marks on their nations. Their long tenures in power reflect complex legacies, blending achievements with controversies. Pause 5S. These leaders remind us of the profound impact that governance can have on the course of a country's history. As we reflect on their stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the intricate dynamics of power and leadership.